Okay. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Again, I hope you enjoyed your nice sleep in your own bed, and I hope you enjoyed a nice Israeli breakfast. You can't beat those at the hotels, right? So today we got a wonderful day. We're going down south into the Negev and the Arava. We're going to see the Bercheva River Park, which is close to my heart, and listen to some very good speakers again. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our distinguished guide, Izzy. You're muted, Izzy. You're muted.
Okay. So can you all hear me now? Are we good? All right.
Beautiful.
So what
Yes.
I'm going to do here is I'm going to share with you this beautiful photo, because today we are going to enjoy and explore the Negev Deserts. The Negev Desert covers some 60% of the land of Israel, the whole southern part of the land of Israel. Today, we call it the Negev Desert, yet only 9% of the population in Israel do live in the Negev Desert. There are different ways in which you can define the borders of the Negev, and I'm going to touch some of these ways. Looking to the west, so today this is a political border between Israel and Egypt, yet it was defined as a border already back in 1906 between the British that have ruled Egypt and the Ottomans that have ruled the land of Israel. The British that were concerned about the fact that the Ottomans were too close to the Suez Canal wanted to push them away, for which both have agreed on that line between Rafah and what's today Eilat over here, and that's pretty much the border since. Well, except after 67. I don't want to confuse you. To the south, we have the city of Eilat that is situated over here on the shores of the Red Sea with an access to the Red Sea and the Indian Ocean. And over here on the east is the Arava Valley, a topographical border, being it in the Syrian African Rift Valley. When we look to the north, this is pretty much of a climatic border of a line that connect the dots going west to east or east to west, under which there is less than 8 inches of rain per year. And that means that in less than 8 inches of rain per year, it's very difficult to cultivate and farm the land relying only on rain. All that area that we call today the Negev Desert, from this line to the south, gets less than 8 inches of rain per year. The Negev Desert is part of a world ring or let's call it a world ring of deserts, 30 degrees latitude away from the equator, both north and south, where you get a high barometric pressure that does not allow the clouds with humidity to come in and bring the rain, less and less of the clouds. It's the same phenomenon as the Sahara Desert, the Nevada Desert, Arizona Desert, and so on. When the Bible relates to the Negev, it's a different term. And it relates to a very specific strip of land cover 2 different valleys known as the Arad Valley and the Bercheva Valley that pretty much create some kind of a buffer over here, a barrier, a border between 2 different areas, the desert from the south and the farmed land or the settled land. To the north of the biblical Negev, you get enough rain where it can be farmed. There are some, communities, a central governance, and there's some rules and regulations and taxes being collected, service being given, where to the south of this land, when you don't get enough rain, very difficult to farm the land, and therefore it's inviting some nomadic, more, I would say, chaos, less order and less governance. As we learned yesterday, already in the 1930s, the Zionist organization and the JNF have understood how important it is to make an effort and to build more and more Jewish communities deeper and deeper into the Negev Desert in order to make sure that any future partition plans between the Arabs and the Jews over this land will be giving the Negev Desert to the Jews. And sure enough, these efforts bear fruits, I should say, bear flowers in this case. What we see over here is a delegation called UNSCOP, the United Nations Special Committee on Palestine, that was sent over here in 1947 by the United Nations in order to check the land of Israel, the land of Palestine, and try to divide it between the Jews and the Arabs in relation to the domination of the people in each and every area. When this delegation came to the Negev Desert and saw this unbelievable development in the different Jewish communities and the abilities to deliver water, and this farm and that farm, when they got to Kibbutz Revivim and they saw the gladiola flower farm, they were completely in shock. In the middle of the desert, you raise flowers, you should get the Negev Desert. And sure enough, when they published the partition plan, most of the Negev Desert was promised to the future Jewish state. That's what we see over here. That plan was voted upon in November 29, 1947 in the UN. They agreed upon it, and the next day, the War of Independence broke out. It was a very long and bloody war that lasted over 1 year, where the very last operation, called the Uvda operation, meaning a fact, the Israeli Defense Forces was able to gain control over most of the Negev Desert and went all the way south to the shores of the Red Sea in order to fly the Israeli flag, the famous ink flag that was flying on the shores of the Red Sea, called the ink flag because they found themselves without an Israeli flag. And what are they going to do? They found a bed sheet, a white bed sheet with an ink. They've colored the 2 blue lines and the Star of David and made it a fact that the Negev is part of the state of Israel. This was very critical for many different reasons. First, for the very large and important landmass that the Negev covers, but so also creates a buffer between, back at the time, 2 very strong Arab countries, Egypt and Jordan. And along with that, not less important, is the access to the Red Sea in the area of Eilat via the Red Sea into the Indian Ocean. Very important economically and of course military as well. So we're going to visit today 3 different areas in the Negev Desert, and we'll learn about the JNF USA involvement in all of these areas and all over the Negev, how the JNF USA is being instrumental in finding solutions for any water issues in this dry area, helping the farmers in specific, but in general, all the different residents of the Negev are enjoying the efforts and the projects and initiatives of the JNF USA. The first stop is going to be over here, very close to the Egyptian border, in a place called Ktsiot. We'll visit the Ktsiot Reservoir and Wastewater Treatment Plant, and we'll meet with Mayor Arad Duron, the mayor of the largest regional council in the whole country, covers the Ramat Negev, which covers about 22% of the whole land of Israel. Then we'll travel back along route number 40 to Bercheva, the capital of the Negev, the gateway to the Negev, and we'll learn about one of the flagship projects of JNF USA in Israel, which is the Bercheva River Park. What used to be the backyard of the city, nowadays turned into an amazing, unbelievable compound of recreation, entertainment, culture, sports, you name it, future amazing educational center. That's what we're going to see over there. Then we're going to travel east and then south towards the Central Arava Regional Council, one of the most remote places in Israel where the JNF USA is pretty much involved in each and every field of life of the people living there. What we're going to do right now is we're going to play, it's virtual, right? So we can do whatever we want. And we are going to drive from the area of Bercheva, making our way along route number 40 to our first stop over here by Ktsiot Reservoir. Around Bercheva, we'll see a lot of Bedouin communities. Some of them are recognized communities, like this one that we see over here, recognized and legal, like the city of Rahat that we see in here, that has all the infrastructure of electricity and roads and sewage and you name it, and water. And then we'll see some non-recognized illegal communities, I'm sorry, illegal communities like the one we see over here that are not recognized and are not connected to the infrastructure. In the background, we can see over here the city of Bercheva. The Bedouins, the word Bedouin comes from the Arab word Badia, and that means a desert. the Bedouins are nomads and been dwelling in the desert for hundreds and thousands of years. When the state of Israel was established, by the way, maybe before the state of Israel, most of the Bedouins have converted into Islam back in the 7th century, in the early stages of the Islam. In the birth of the state of Israel, 1948, there were about 15,000 Bedouins living in the Negev Desert, where today there are over 270,000 Bedouins, and the growth rate is at around 3% per year. Now, about 70% of the Bedouins in the Negev do live in these recognized cities, and about 30% do live in the non-recognized illegal communities like the one we see over here. Whether this or that, the Bedouins in the Negev are definitely forming, I would say, one of the greatest challenges to Israel today, and they are the weakest segment in Israeli society in relation to the socioeconomic ladder. Unemployment, crime, and poverty, unfortunately, are very common. So we're going to leave this area and continue further south on route number 40. And once we're going to cross the Negev junction over here, take a good look on your left. You'll see, wow, if you haven't been here for 10 years, you're not going to recognize. This is a whole new city in a way. It's called the Training Bases City, the city of the training bases. About 10 different army training bases that up until about 5 years ago were situated in the central part of Israel, where the prime real estate location, very expensive land, were moved over here with about 10,000 soldiers, providing quite a large amount of jobs for the local people. And we named this training base after our late Prime Minister Ariel Sharon, who was also a major general in the Israeli Defense Forces. We'll continue further south and west, and soon enough, you'll be able to see on your right, a bit in the distance, you'll see Golda Park, named after late Prime Minister Golda Meir. What used to be an old quarry got rehabilitated or was redone as a beautiful little artificial lake with the help of the JNF, beautiful picnic areas and green grass and trees and so on. Across the road, what used to be, I say used to be because the spa, the Neve Midbar spa, stopped functioning, yet used to get the water, this geothermal water from about 1 kilometer in the ground, coming up with all the different minerals to the enjoyment of the locals and the tourists and so on. Unfortunately, it got closed. Same water later on goes into the lake and then goes into the fish farms to raise the barramundi fish. So great water, the fish are swimming in the water, enjoy the food, drop their poop, and the same water continues with the poop to irrigate the nearby orchards of the olive trees in nearby Ashalim. So 4 different users for the same amount of water, for the same water, not the same amount, but the same water, quite efficient. We'll continue further west, I would say, southwest. From a distance, already you'll be able to see very strange glittering tower up at the top, where to me, it looks like the burning bush. It's not called the burning bush. I'm just saying, like, you know, that's what it reminds me. When you come closer, it's even much more impressive, being it the highest, the tallest building in Israel today of about 750 feet height, at the top of which there is a huge water tank with over 2,000 tons of water, surrounded by 250 acres of 50,000 heliostats. These are these stands with over 200,000 mirrors. Again, you don't have to remember all these figures. I'm just kind of giving it to you. All these are connected with a central computerized system and are directing the rays of sun to this focal point up at the top of the tower, with the sun rays are heating the water to about 580 degrees centigrade, creating steam that is being pushed down to twist and turn the turbine, creating some 120 megawatts. For the locals, this is, you can imagine, a bit of an eyesore and quite disturbing. Many do complain about, you know, how shiny, or like, you know, when you're driving on the road and it's like really disturbing you and so on. Some of the poor birds that are flying the wrong way and are bumping into concentrated rays of sun sometimes find their death. but it created such a buzz and so many visitors or delegations are interested to come and see the wonder. Just across the road, a bit further down and across the road, you'll see another thermoelectrical power, this time using the system of concentrating solar power with the parabolic trough. 450,000 mirrors are now focusing the rays of sun. In any event, a bit down the road, another plant, and this is the well-known, the PV plates, the photovoltaic. If you take the three stations, gathering them together, these produce about 4% of the total consumption of electricity in Israel today. So having the Negev with so many days of sun, turning the Ramat Negev Regional Council being very attractive for the solar power energy. A bit further to the west, not right on the road, a bit further in, about 5 minutes, if we take a detour, we'll find ourselves in one of the old cities that were built in the Negev Desert, known as Shivta. Most of the archaeological finds and structures that you see above ground, like this beautiful church over here, are dated back to the Byzantine time period. That is from the 4th century to the 7th century AD. But with all respect to that, the reason why UNESCO, the United Nations Educational and Science and Cultural Organization, have declared Shivta as a World Heritage Site has to do with the fact that it became one of the rest stops of the Nabataeans along their spice route. Here is Shivta over here. The Nabataeans were an Arab nomadic tribe that, with an amazing navigation abilities and knowledge about water sources in the desert, were able to develop a long trade route already in the 3rd century before the Common Era, leaving the southern end of the Saudi Arabia Peninsula, going across the desert through what today is Israel over here, all the way to the Gaza port, 1,000 miles long, with about 65 different stops along the way. As I said, one of them is Shivta. From the Gaza port, it would go into Alexandria, Athens, and Rome. And every year, once a year, there were hundreds of camels, caravan, making their way along that route. All of them are loaded with the goods of different spices and salts, but first and foremost will be the perfumes, the myrrh and the frankincense that were very much in use back at the time in the pagan temples. That was in order to overcome the horrible smell of the burning sacrificial animals and even bodies. Yes, women have used it too for as a perfume, but that was the main use of it. So gradually the Nabataeans became wealthier and wealthier. They started building their own cities. The most famous one is Petra in Jordan today, which became one of the 7 wonders of the New World today. It was 106 AD or CE to the Common Era that Trajan, the Roman emperor, have taken over the whole Nabataean empire, and gradually these folks, the Nabataeans, have assimilated into the Roman Empire and later on took Christianity upon themselves in the Byzantine time period. So soon enough, we're getting to Ktziot. Before that, as we turn left, if you look to the right and a bit further in, you'll be able to see a long line of columns that were placed over here by the well-known Israeli sculptor named Danny Caravan in 1982, following the peace treaty between Israel and Egypt. Each and every one of these columns do carry the word peace in different language that was brought upon to this area, but different people and nations that crossed through this land. Now, we're not gonna be there, but we cannot talk about the Negev Desert without mentioning one of these beautiful wonder, amazing phenomena, only to be found in the Negev Desert and in the Sinai Peninsula, and that is I'm relating to the Machtesh. Here we see the Machtesh Ramon. This is the large Machtesh, or Yerucha Machtesh it is called today, the small Machtesh, and so on. I keep on calling it a Machtesh, and I'll explain in a minute why. A Machtesh is a geological land formation that has steep walls of a hard rock surrounding a deep closed valley. And that valley is drained only by one single wadi, or by one single stream, I would say. And I keep on calling it a machtesh and not a crater because it's not a crater. It was not formed neither by a meteor hitting the ground, nor by a volcanic eruption. It was only because, or mainly because of erosion. All right, so if you want to call it an erosion crater, okay, but we do use the word machtesh, which is the Hebrew term for it. It was adopted by the International Geological Society because it's only to be found in this part of the world. And it is reminding of the mortar and pestle, so the mortar part of it. This is why we call it the machtesh, to be called a machtesh and not a crater. What you see over here is my family and me and my in-laws over here, not that long ago, on the edge of the machtesh katan, the small machtesh. And we do have another small little connection because my sister-in-law over here, Orna, studied together or worked together back at the time with Mayor Around Duron, who's going to join us very soon. So Tali, I'm going to send it back to you for further information.
Listen, guys, first of all, applause to Izzy. You know, as many times as I hear you, it's always interesting and we're always learning, and you do it in such a beautiful way. And I think we're all, you know, enjoying the fact that we can see the machtesh from above and the roads and everything that we cannot really see in Israel because we're driving through the machtesh. So you cannot really have an aerial shot of what it looks like. So kol hakavod, Izzy, and thank you so much. You know, we could have listened for you for hours. Toda. Before we're moving to our next speaker, who is going to be Mayor Eran Duron, and I think Eran is already on the line with us, I want to stop for a few minutes and speak about the Jewish National Fund's, you know, Blueprint Negev. As Izzy indicated, the Negev covers about 60% of the land of Israel, and the Negev is a desert. In this desert, we have about 600 to 700,000 people. This is about 8% of the population of the entire state of Israel. And they live in a few ways of communities. Bercheva is the capital with over 200,000 people live in Bercheva. We have a few development towns. It sounds familiar to you. Dimona, Yerucham, Arad, Mitzpe Ramon, Sderot, Netivot, etc., etc. And we have mainly in the Arava, Kibbutzim, and Moshavim. Izzy spoke about it on our first day about the difference between kibbutz and a moshav. We're not going to discuss it again. But the Jewish National Fund USA has announced its Blueprint Negev about 20 years ago. The Negev belongs to Israel. There is no discussion as to the borders and to its ownership and to the need to roll back the desert and to conquer the desert and to develop the desert. Most of the Israelis, 80% of the Israelis live in the triangle between Jerusalem, Haifa, and Tel Aviv. That, first of all, makes the prices of any asset in Tel Aviv so expensive that a young family can hardly purchase an apartment and live in this area. Second of all, strategically, it's very dangerous that 80% of the population in Israel is condensed in this triangle between Jerusalem, Tel Aviv, and Haifa. The importance of developing the frontiers of the Negev, of the Galil, is clear to everyone. But the Zionist organization who is dealing on the ground with the development of these areas is the Jewish National Fund. And we know we cannot only do it by, you know, building one thing or another. We have to look with the communities, with the mayors, with the municipality as to the general need of these areas in order to be developed, in order to be attractive and to bring young families to live in this area. And for that, they need the help of the Jewish National Fund. And I'll say, and I'll emphasize the Jewish National Fund. And I'm telling you this as an Israeli, because after all, if you look at each and every community of the Negev, you will see that the community is very small. And in terms of the political power that they have in the state of Israel, it's unlike the United States where you have representatives of each state. If they're small, sometimes they're not heard. If they're not heard, nobody's listening to their needs, and nobody's really gonna implement their needs and build on the ground the needs in order to develop the state of Israel. Although it's good for the entire state of Israel, yet the budget will go to the power, to the political power. And hence, the power of a Zionist organization, such as the Jewish National Fund, in developing this area is crucial. And I cannot urge you enough to go and see everywhere. Everywhere you put your finger on, there's a footprint or a fingerprint of the Jewish National Fund, because we've done there something. And when you hear the word task forces, these are our lay leaders, you guys, our supporters, our partners, who choose not only to support this initiative or another initiative, but also to work for it, also to serve on a special committee who's speaking with the mayors, speaking with the residents, understanding the needs and pushing it forward, and even recruiting more people to come and support it. And again, I'm opening one big line as to what we're doing everywhere in the Negev. You cannot expand any community and bring any new family. And today we're going to see it in the Arava, in Ramat Negev, without doing the infrastructure for new lots for the families to come. For years, people spoke about developing the Negev, but nobody did anything in order to expand the communities. So the JNF Housing Fund is helping in the infrastructure of these new communities. And the water campaign of the Jewish National Fund is helping them either with wastewater treatment plants, local drillings, let's say in Chalutza on the border of Egypt and Israel, brackish water and desalination of brackish water, pipes for new communities or expansion of communities in the Arava and the Negev. And then they need medical centers, and it's us. And then they need centers for people with special needs, and it's again Jewish National Funds. And of course they need parks, and of course they need trees, and of course tourism will bring economy, a better economy to this area, and the JNF again is helping them. And of course no farmer can grow grapes or cherry tomatoes or watermelons or even dates in the desert without the support of the R&Ds, of the research and developments. And JNF has supported each and every R&D throughout Israel. And we're gonna visit the Bercheva River Park. I'm not gonna talk too much about it at all. I'm not gonna speak about it, despite one fact. JNF is holding a discussion these days of building the largest Zionist village in the Bercheva River vicinity for the entire world. Guys, there is no such a thing. The largest Zionist village for groups from abroad, from Israel, adults, young children, soldiers in the army, all should come and learn and spend time. And again, an expansion of the Mass High School of Hod Sharon in this Zionist village. That is going to take place in the Bercheva River Park. And if we wouldn't have the Bercheva River Park that we have developed and we're going to visit there soon, it wouldn't have happened. That is the Jewish National Fund's vision. I hope I did not forget anything, but the last 2 years have proved again and again, you know, with the 4 round of Israeli elections in 2 years, that these communities, these mayors, these people, these new families, they need a stable organization to lean on, to be supported by one organization that believes in the Zionist dream, and this is the Jewish National Fund. So yes, we're gonna follow the steps of the water and the needs and the challenges and the buildings of water opportunities for these communities these days, but you're gonna see the fingerprints of the Jewish National Fund throughout the tour today. So thank you very much. And with that, before we're introducing Mayor Eran Duron, we're gonna watch a 3-minute video about the agriculture, especially in the Negev. Gary?
We're lowering this apparatus down under the ground to see if we can find water there. We're waiting for a siren to go off. JNF USA is here in Chalutza helming the water drilling deep down into the aquifers to tap into the water that's necessary to create an agricultural oasis in the middle of this desert.
What we're doing here, we're growing a hydroponic lettuce that the water runs in the tunnel. The greens are just sitting inside and growing. This system is a recycling system. We save water by the system. When we came here, there was only sand.
I'm here walking amongst the greenhouses of Chalutza. Even though it looks like a massive agricultural success, they've still had their challenges. They are not connected to the national water grid. They get all of their water from a desalination plant in Ashkelon. That means water is much more expensive. What type of oranges are these?
These are Valencia.
So all of this is thanks to the recycled water that comes here and you use to be able to grow these really tall trees. What are all these fruit doing on the ground?
I drop them down in order that the tree will live with the less water.
You're picking fruit off the tree and throwing it away because what? You don't have enough water for both the fruit and the tree?
Yeah, exactly.
You're telling me you came to the Negev with a Zionist dream.
I came to the Negev to make it bloom. And because we don't have enough water, that's what you see, you know. We are here, and now we close many.
You had to shut down farms, and you shut down your farm here. Why?
Because we don't have enough water.
All my kids grew up in the fields. We all see that growing for your country is beautiful and it's important. If we would have enough water, we could feed our own people.
By the way, the lettuce that you have just seen is the lettuce of McDonald's in Israel. These are the farmers of the lettuce of the McDonald's in Israel. So we're going to move forward. We have Mayor Arad Duron with us on the line. Say hi, Mayor Arad Duron.
Hi everyone.
Wait. And we have Valerie Richter. Say hi, Valerie.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello, everyone.
And Valerie is one of the main supporters of the newly water reservoir that is being built these days in Mayor Arad Duron's municipality, region, Ramat Negev. And Valerie, we're honored to have you introduce Mayor Arad Duron.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I would like to introduce Mayor Arad Duron, who is mayor of the Regional Negev Regional Council. And as mayor of the, I'm sorry, I need a light here. and as mayor of Israel's largest regional council, Duron is devoted to strengthening, developing, and promoting the communities and the settlements that comprise Ramat HaNegev. This includes working with and promoting the inclusion of the local Bedouin communities into the regional social network, as well as conserving the area's environmental resources. Duron is also leading a new solar energy valley project. It is in HaNegev, which is one of the largest renewable energy projects in the world. Duron, Mayor Duron.
Thank you, Valerie. And I have to say that I'm very excited because the last time I saw you, it was when we launched the new reservoir in Nitzana. And I have to say that I miss everyone. And I wish you can come and see that in a month from now, more or less, it will be a month or maybe 6 weeks, we'll start the construction for the reservoir, and I think we are moving ahead very fast, and according to the timetable that we thought we can commit it to. So thank you again, Tali, and everyone for having me.
And Eran, we have a 3-minute video of you by the reservoir that we're going to show now, and then you're gonna add whatever you want, okay?
Please.
Thank you, Gary.
This is which reservoir?
Shalom, the water mission of JNF USA. I'm so happy to see everyone. My name is Arad Duron. I'm the mayor of Ramat HaNegev Regional Council. Ramat HaNegev Regional Council is the largest regional council with land, but we have only not so many people. And that's why, together with JNF USA, we try to bring more and more people to this arid desert area. Ramat HaNegev has 15 communities spread over more than 22% of Israel territory. Our goal is to bring more people and to continue Ben-Gurion vision to develop this land. We can do it. The Negev is the ultimate challenge for the state of Israel. This is what said Ben-Gurion, and today, in 2020, this is actually what we do. We try to promote the Negev in its advantages, with water, with renewable energy, with amazing community, science, research, and a lot of tourism. In order to continue to develop the Negev, in order to continue to make the very advanced agriculture that we do, we have to have reservoir. Kibbutzim Reservoir is part of a wide system of reservoir that, with the support, the huge support of JNF, was built in the Negev. But if we look to the future, 30 years from now, we will need more reservoir in order to collect and to bring more water and to produce water in order to people to make their living out of farming or from tourism industry or any other well. The basic level is, of course, the existence of water, and this is exactly what we do in Kibbutzim Reservoir and in many more reservoirs in the Negev. And what's good about the reservoir, it's not only that it gives water to the farming, that it's create more options for and opportunities for people in tourism, bird watchers, and parks, public parks that we building in addition to the basic reservoir that provide the water. And this is something that is added value, a very important added value. As you can see behind me, we took the old reservoir that is no longer in use and we turn it into some kind of a small nature reserve for bird watchers and people that just like, and for mostly for the animals. And what it created, that many more people is coming to look at the birds and enjoy this facility as for tourism purposes, which is another thing that will help to develop this area. And as you see, it's an amazing oasis.
Tali, I think we need to do a new movie. We need to bring someone that can speak better in English, of course. If I would do it in English, in Hebrew, I think it would be better.
First of all, your English is perfect and you are amazing. So come on.
Because after I saw Easy, it's my second time that I listened to Easy, and every time that it sounds to me like, wow, what an amazing place we are living in. Easy, thank you so much for presenting the beauty of our area, and it seems like you are ready to move here. So consider this. Thank you again for having me. The Water Task Force is maybe one of the most important task force for JNF, and it's a great opportunity to say thank you to JNF USA that became one of the most important partners that we have, that we share the same values and we share the same vision of developing the Negev. So I just wanted to give you a short update about what's going on with the reservoir, and we prepared a short presentation. So with me I have Daphna, is it Gary or you, or who is presenting?
I would like to present, but I just need the host to make me a co-host.
No. You can present.
You can do it.
Great, thank you.
So I will try not to repeat things that Izzy already said, but and just focusing on the reservoir as we on his promotion. So as you can see from the aerial photo, is the wastewater facility that take around probably in the full capacity, it will be around 2 million cubic water and will purify them. And on your left, on the left of the photo, you see the current, the old sewage pools that now after the establishment and the building of the wastewater facility, we can turn the old sewage pools into something that will give water back to the farmers after the purification process, and second, will turn it into a park for tourism and recreation uses. So just as a general understanding of what and in addition to what Tali said, Ramat Negev has one purpose in general. We are following the footsteps of Ben Gurion. And no matter in what angle you are looking at the goals of the Negev, eventually we will get back to the fundamental fact that in order to develop the Negev, we need to bring more people to the Negev. And why is it important? Because Israel in the north became one of the most dense countries in the world. The cost of living and the cost of real estates became something that many of the Israelis are very worried that they won't be able to afford themselves and to their children affordable housing. And in the Negev, we have an answer for those. In one end, we can provide relatively cheaper land for people to build their houses, and second, option for a good communities to develop and to live with, I think, in a way that people would like their children to live. And that's why the water is the source of living, and it's even more extreme in the desert. And so the goal of Ramat Negev is to populate, develop, and preserve the Negev, not only for the residents of Ramat Negev, but also for the state of Israel, and the way I see it, for the Jewish people all over the globe. So Ramat Negev, I don't know if you know, but we are the largest regional council. We're talking about 1 million acres, which is 22% of Israel territory. But what is unique, or what is characterize us, it's the desert condition. And what is unique is that as Israel did in the Arava Valley, which is very hot and very dry, also in the highland of the Negev, we succeeded to deal with those extreme condition. And you can see on the left map the Aridity Index that we are in between the two areas, that both of them are very arid, almost with no water at all. We're talking about 1 to 2 inches every year. And this year we didn't even get to 1 inch. Last year we had 3 inches. So in general, in the average is around 2 inches a year. And Ramat Negev, even though we don't, even with those arid condition, this is probably the best map to understand why we need those reservoir and the water facilities. We have a strong, we are doing a prediction of population, and we hope that even though it's written that in 2048 will be around 40,000 people, my goals are to do it even maybe to reach to 60,000 and maybe even more. I think that every number above 40,000 is realistic. It's required to work hard, and it's required that everyone will be joining this vision of populating the Negev, especially the state of Israel. But as you see, politically, the state of Israel is not one of the most stable places today. And for the last 2 years, I don't know what will be after the next election in March, but according to the polls and things that we see, stability won't be the situation. But having said that, we are continuing together with you and with some institutions to continue this goal of bringing more and more people. So as it was said, as Tali said before, we're working closely with the water authority, the Israel Water Authority, and with the Israel water company that provide the water and they put up the pipes. And we can say that with your support, it's much easier to bring the Israel Water Authority to distribute and to put the infrastructure for the pipes and the water containers and everything that is required in order that eventually farmer will get on the border with Egypt, will get fresh water or desalinated water or brackish water or sewage water that was purified. So you can now see the aerial photo and the different types of pipes that we have. I won't go into each one of the pipes and how much water they transfer, but if we'll go to another, to the next, so you see that eventually, when we look at the bigger picture, there is an investment of almost $100 million that the state of Israel put in the infrastructure. So even though I was a little bit criticized about the government of Israel today or the political situation, we need to remind ourselves and of course everyone else that having said that, the state of Israel is putting a lot of resources into putting pipes in the ground and building and being the main supporter for establishing this amazing system of water that is spread all over the Negev. But again, sometimes people get, you get from the government 90% and you need like the next 10%. And this is exactly where JNF and other organizations coming in, and it's crucial because sometimes because of the 10%, the state of Israel will bring the 90%. So it's sometimes you need it to complete project, and sometimes like in the Ktsiot Reservoir, we needed the support of the JNF in order to bring together everyone else into this project. So this is just a quick summary. We're going to start in 6 weeks, I think, the constructions work, all the dirt work, and eventually in the next year we will finish the wastewater facilities, and we'll start to develop the park for tourism purposes. So basically we are looking to a very good 1-2 years of development that eventually you will come, and after the COVID-19 will be over, you will come, and I think you will be very proud in what you were being part of. So thank you again, Tali. Thank you, Izzy, Gary, Daphna, of course, and everyone in this great screen.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Eran. Mark, let's take 5 minutes I saw that there were some questions to Mayor Eran Duron. Just to clarify, each reservoir, it depends on the volume, cost like $6-7 million, and out of which the Israel Water Authority covers between 60 to 70%, and all the rest the municipality has to raise on its own. So that's where the JNF comes into the picture. Mark, why don't you read a few questions so that...
Okay. From Errol Sweet, what was the reason that the previously flourishing orchards or agriculture died for lack of water?
I'm not sure that I understood. Are you relating to the guy from the movie?
That was the previous. That was the previous a video that we were showing.
Yes. I think one of the situations that we do facing in Israel is that in some places there is lack of water. there is definitely lack of water. We see it in some of the communities in the Jordan Valley. We see it in some of the places that are in terrain areas in the Elot region, and it's something that the fact that in our desert there is almost there is a good infrastructure for distributing water. It's not taken for granted, and the reservoir are a very important component in making sure the stability of bringing water and distributing it to the consumers.
And we have one from Michelle and Vivi Levy. What is the largest community or the city in the Ramat Negev region?
The largest community, it's the place where I live actually. It's called Midreshet Ben Gurion. It's the Ben Gurion campus. You know someone that I think gave some lectures to the task force. It's Elon Adar, Professor Elon Adar, one of my neighbors. And I know his family, and it's because of the water institutions for the water and technology institutions for that belong to the Blaunstein institutions of Ben Gurion University. It's located in Ben Gurion campus, and this is where we live. It's a small, it's the biggest community, but it's of course in even in Israel scales, it's small. We are talking about not more than 600 families, but the demand is big. The last tender that we marketed, for each lot, we had 6 people that applicate. So it means the demand exists, and now we need to make sure that it's that we are creating the platform to people to come. And even though it's not your task force, but it's another opportunity to say thank you to the Housing Fund task force.
And another question we had is there solar energy used to power the water and wastewater systems?
No. The solar energy is generating turbines, and the turbines it's using for everything. But what we will do on this reservoir is that we will cover it with solar panels. So it will prevent evaporation in one end, and it will produce electricity on the other end. And we will do it in a way that the animals will be able still coming to the sides of the reservoir in order to drink, and the birds and some of the wildlife that are in this area. So, yes, we are going to use the reservoir also for producing green energy. And I think it will be a good example. We won't be the first one, but it's pretty new in Israel that you can cover a reservoir with solar panels.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. It's good to see you again.
Thank you very much, Mayor, and thank you for all your time you give to JNF. Go ahead, Tali, take it away.
Eran, there's one more question that I think is important for you to answer, although we have to run because we have people in Bercheva waiting for us. Are there any incentives for young families who are moving from the north to your area? What are the incentives?
Okay, so there is incentives for. One incentive, as I said, the land is a little bit cheaper. The second incentive is that people will know that they're coming to a safe area with a very good educational system. 3, there is job opportunities in the area of Bercheva metropolitan. And 4, which is a big incentive, it's the sense of community. In addition to those 4 components that makes people to come, if someone wants to be a farmer, so the state is giving him some grants in order to put up his farm. And if it's a small business, so we have a small business center that know how to help those people that wants to help to establish their own small business. So for each, if it's a tourism business, so you have some grants for people that wants to be in the tourism business. And if you are students, we have some scholarships. So we are giving, I think, a full package for people that wants to come and they just need to come.
Thank you so much.
I thank you again very much. So we need to move on.
Thank you very much. Hope to see you soon in Israel and in Ramat Negev. Thank you very much.
Guys,
Thank
we should be very appreciative to Iran and to all the residents who reside in the Negev. There's an expression in Hebrew, Sof ha'olam smola. It's the end of the world to the left where they live, with the conditions of the heat and the water and the soil and the border and everything else. They are doing the best Zionist work on the ground in Israel. So we are very grateful, and thank you so much, Eran and Daphna, for being with us today. And we are going to land just now at the Bercheva River Park, the jewel of the work of the Jewish National Fund in the capital of the Negev.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the tour. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Who is introducing Noah?
We're
You're
landing now in Bercheva before Noah. Before Noah, we have a video of the Bercheva River Park.
To help me tell our story is someone who was there at the beginning with Mr. Lauder and Jewish National Fund. Itai Freeman was working for the Israel Drainage Authority and met Ron Lauder, Russell Robinson, and the Jewish National Fund leadership. And when he heard of their dreams and vision, he was all in. Hi Itai, welcome.
Hi everyone, very happy to be here. It's pretty exciting working back with JNF to see how things going and be part of this big vision. I want to take you a little bit back to 2004, 2005, when the dream of the Bercheva River Park was just start folding. And one day we get a call from a person called himself Russell Robinson, and he wanted to talk to us, to talk to me and Nehemia Shachaf, my boss, in the river authority. And we said, okay, we'll meet you. And then he came to our office, this guy with a suit, and started speaking about his vision. And just between us, I thought he's crazy. He starts speaking about a floating river. We're talking about a wadi, a desert wash, and a lake, and other things that were beyond what we thought it's relevant at that time. And we are in the time where Bercheva was far away from which she was today. The city is not, it was 190,000 people, losing population, not very attractive. To market this vision within the city and with our partners from the government, let's say it was pretty challenging. And with the support of JNF and the seed money for every project, and on top of that, we build other projects and other sources of funds, we started building, first of all, it was pieces of promenade along the river. And we're talking about the dry riverbed that was just being cleaned from solid waste, from hazardous materials, from just garbage, whatever you don't want in your backyard was there. And piece by piece, and every piece of promenade, which is just a river promenade, it's a piece of success, and we market this success. See, we're building it. It's not just a dream, we're building that. And the river park came residential areas, and I just want to pause and say that until we put this master plan on the table, the city just evolved north and west. But now I'm not sure about the numbers, but I think today there are more than 4,000 apartments being built on the river park because of the river park. So just think about the amazing economical boost that came with this development. And throughout the years, we saw piece by piece of urban development that coming with the landscaping and the park development. And it came together. And we saw entrepreneurs coming to us and ask us for marketing material for their apartments, to sell apartments on the park. And I'm sure many of you guys met me throughout the years, met me, Ruvik, and my colleagues. And when you stood there in this, let's say, dust valley with nothing there, and we talked about, let's say, the Arcon Park and the neighborhoods that will come with it. And we did need a vision to sell that. And this vision, we see it today. And throughout the years came promenades and Abraham's Well adjacent to the river park, and the amphitheater, and now the Sportec and the lake, which is basically amazing thing. Just between us, when Russell was talking about the lake, I thought it was a meshuggah. But there is a lake, guys, there is a lake. It's pretty amazing lake. And now the city is planning the river itself that will be filled with water, that summarize all that have been accomplished in the last year. Thanks to you, to your work, to what you're doing with JNF. Thank you.
A couple of years ago, we were starting to lay some stones on this promenade, and a car pulled up, and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, we're going to build a promenade. It's going to be a tayeled. It's going to be part of a river walk." And he said, "Don't bother. It will never happen." And there's always been a joke with everybody who works with me here is buy a boat. So I'm telling you, buy a boat. We'll have water in that river, and we'll be taking little cruises to restaurants. And you've already seen the changes, and it's because of leadership and its people.
And now I would like to introduce our inspiring mayor, a true partner of the Jewish National Fund, a person of vision, the first mayor ever born in the city of Bercheva, Mayor Ruvik Danilovich.
שלום למשפחה היקרה והאהובה שלנו, משפחת JNF ארצות הברית. אני נמצא כאן, בעיר באר שבע, בירת הנגב, עיר המטרופולין של הדרום כולו. תגידו לי, מי היה מאמין? מי היה מאמין שמלב המדבר יוקם פה האגם המלאכותי הגדול ביותר במדינת ישראל. והאמפיתיאטרון? האמפיתיאטרון הכי גדול במדינה שלנו, והספורטק האיכותי, והטיילות, ומצפה בית אשל, וגשר הצינורות, וכל כך הרבה חוויות כאן, במקום שהיה פעם החצר האחורית. אז תראו מה קורה כאשר דמיון הופך למציאות. והדמיון הזה הוא דמיון משותף. הוא בא מהאהבה. הוא בא מתוך אמונה גדולה של כולנו. קודם כל, למדינת ישראל, המדינה האהובה שלנו. אבל לנגב. הנגב שמהווה למעלה מ-60% משטח מדינת ישראל. זאת המחויבות שלנו. זאת האחריות שלנו. זה החלום הישראלי החדש. לפתח את הנגב. בנגב חיים רק 9% מאזרחי מדינת ישראל. איך אנחנו הופכים אותו למטרופולין הכי אטרקטיבי במדינת ישראל, ומושכים עוד כל כך הרבה צעירות וצעירים, הופכים את האזור הזה לחממה, לחולמות ולחולמים. כן, כל אחת יכולה, וכל אחד יכול. על באר שבע מתוכנן עכשיו בית החולים השני בנגב. כאן אצלנו. לצידו תוקם כאן קריית ביוטק, שהיא תהיה גם בינלאומית, והיא תספק תעסוקה לחוקרות ולחוקרים. ויהיו פה המוחות היצירתיים ביותר, אלה שעוסקים בפתרונות שיביאו מזור לעולם כולו, בנושא תרופות ומערכת הבריאות. כאן, בסמוך לפארק נחל באר שבע שלנו. את הקמפוס הטכנולוגי של מוס שמוקם כאן, בעזרתכם האדיבה, ואני בטוח שזה יהפוך להיות פרויקט לאומי, כי זאת משימה לאומית. להביא את כל הצעירות והצעירים לכאן, לארץ ישראל, למדינת ישראל. בואו תהיו חלק מאיתנו. תלמדו כאן. תכשירו את עצמכם. תהיו חלק מהקהילה. תשמרו על היהדות הנפלאה ששייכת לכולנו, ולא חשוב איפה אנחנו נמצאים על פני הגלובוס. כן, כן, באר שבע. מעירו של אברהם אבינו, מערש היהדות, מהמקום שבו יצאה האמונה באל אחד. באר שבע, העיר הראשונה בעולם שהתקיים בה השלום. השלום הראשון הוא כאן, בין אברהם לבין אבימלך מלך גרר. אז מהשורשים, מהמורשת, מההיסטוריה, אנחנו גם יוצרים את העתיד. אנחנו מסתכלים על המחר ובונים אותו ביחד. ועוד לא דיברנו על אצטדיון חדש, ועל קריית ספורט שאנחנו בנינו, והתכנון של הרכבת הקלה, ובאר שבע עם 8 שכונות חדשות שנבנות ממש בימים האלה דרך הסכמי הגג של העירייה יחד עם ממשלת ישראל. אנחנו לא עוצרים. יש לנו מחויבות שזה יהיה מטרופולין גדול, שיהיו בו עוד ועוד אנשים, שיגיעו צעירים ועולים חדשים, שימצאו כאן את העתיד שלהם. ועל מנת שהם יבואו לכאן, אנחנו צריכים להיות הכי טובים. אתם, האחיות והאחים היקרים שלנו מ-JNF ארצות הברית, אתם נמצאים איתנו כל הזמן. גם עכשיו, בתקופה הקשה של הקורונה, שכולנו מסוגרים בתוך עצמנו, פנימה, וזו תקופה מאוד קשה, כי כבני אדם אנחנו אוהבים להתחבק, אנחנו אוהבים להיפגש. קשה לנו להסתכל עליכם ממרחק, אבל הגעגועים והאהבה שלנו כלפיכם הם כל כך גדולים. אני רוצה לומר לכנס המסורתי של ה-JNF, לתורמות ולתורמים מכל רחבי ארצות הברית, לידידיי היקרים והאהובים, לסול ולרסל, תודה מעומק הלב. אנחנו רק בעיצומו של המסע. לא סיימנו אותו, כי יש לנו עוד הרבה מאוד אתגרים. אנחנו חייבים להקים פה את הקמפוס ולהשלים אותו. אנחנו עוד צריכים לעשות הרבה דברים כדי שבאר שבע תהפוך להיות מרכז. לא רק מרכז הארץ, לא רק מרכז ישראל, אלא מרכז בינלאומי של לימודים, של חינוך, של טכנולוגיה, של אקדמיה, מרכז שיוצר את העתיד. בעזרתכם אנחנו עושים את זה. שיהיה לכולנו ברכה והצלחה. אלוהים יברך אתכם.
Amen. What a mayor. Amen. Amen, Mayor Danilovich. Thank you very much. We are jumping into the Arava, but not before our dear Stacy Lewin from Atlanta, Georgia, will introduce our dear friend from the Central Arava, Noah Zer. Stacy.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy Simon Lewin, and Shalom from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm pleased to introduce Noah Zer, one of the wonderful faces of Israel, a young, beautiful, hardworking mother committed to building Israel into an even better country. As the Central Arava Regional Council's Director of Resource Development, Noah partners closely with JNF to sustain and develop Israel's arid desert region along the Jordanian border. With the support of her leadership and the JNF, the Israeli government is allocating resources for the development of an agricultural training center, kindergartens, water solutions, and various other community development projects in the region. Asabra, an Israeli native, raised in the suburbs of Tel Aviv, Noah lives with her husband, a second-generation pepper farmer, and her 3 children. Noah and I have a nice connection. She lives in the Moshav, Faran, where their water is supplied by a well. The well water is brackish and cleaned with desalination equipment. Faran will soon grow from 115 homes to 180. My husband and I, through JNF, are sponsoring the upgrade of the desalination equipment to support the new homes. So, Noah, welcome to our tour.
Hi, welcome. Hi, everybody. It's good to see faces that I haven't seen for a while and new faces that I haven't met. Thank you, Stacy, for the introduction. I have to tell you, my kids' best pastime these days are to see the tractors that are working on the earthwork for the new neighborhoods in Faran. It's really next door, and every afternoon they're like, let's go see the tractors. And I explained to them about the new neighborhood and the new families that are joining us. They already asked who are the kids that are going to come. And I told them about the good people that are helping us bring more people to the Moshav. So thank you for the tractors and thank you for the work. It's a great pastime during COVID. So, and thank you really for everything that you do.
And we'll start with the 50 seconds video shot that you have sent us.
Sure.
Gary.
So just a glimpse of where what Central Arava is. I feel so privileged to be speaking to you just right after you heard from Mayor David Nilovich and Itai Friedman from Bercheva and Mayor Duron. Really amazing people that are doing so much for the Negev. It seems like the souther you go, the greater are the challenges and the fewer are the people. And that's exactly where we're at. So I want to share my screen with your permission. Rachel, can I share my screen for a short presentation that explains what is Central Arava? Here we go. Everyone can see? Tali, we are well? We're good?
Just put it into full screen, into slideshow mode.
Yeah, and I'm trying. I don't know why it seems like stuck. So, but you can see it. So
yeah.
We're good.
It's good.
Okay, good. So Central Arava is actually located halfway between Bercheva and Eilat. It's like way deep down in the desert area, right along the Jordanian border. For those who haven't visited this beautiful part of the Israel that comprises, by the way, 6% of the landmass, there is no border between Jordan and Israel. Well, there is a border, but there is no physical barrier that states where the border starts and ends. It's actually a line that was drawn on a map. It's the longest border in Israel, which is fenceless, which present multiple challenges to the community. And 4,000 residents, 1,000 families are living in 7 communities from Idan in the north all the way down to Paran, where I'm speaking to you right now. And the distance, by the way, between Idan and Paran is like the distance between Tel Aviv and Haifa. Think of how many people are living between Tel Aviv and Haifa, and only 4,000 people are living in this part of the country. And the reason is that this is probably one of Israel's most challenging areas to live in, starting with the geographic isolation. It's 2 hours away from the nearest city on one of Israel's worst roads. It's not a road that you take lightly. We are living along a fenceless border, and this is a desert. Right now, I think it was around 90 degrees today, and this is winter. Okay, but when I'll step outside, the temperature will probably drop dramatically because it's nighttime. But during summertime, temperature can get up to 120 easily. So it's really, temperature fluctuates between day and night, winter and summer, really extreme and arid temperature, which is not easy. And of course, water. We are limited with our water resources, and we're not connected to the main grid of Israel, the main water grid, which present multiple challenges to the people that are living here. Our mission has and always has been to really boost the population, double the population, invite more families to live along this beautiful part of Israel, understanding that without people living along the border, there is no border. The border is the people, and the people are the border, and this is what we do here in the Arava. But living in such a challenging area, we have to think ourselves, what can we do in order to double the population? What can we do in order to attract more people? And we come up with a master plan that has 3 components that we understood that every family will be looking for once they are thinking of relocating to the Arava. The first one is infrastructure, things like water resources, housing, land. The second element is employment, opportunities, jobs, indirect and direct. And the third thing is quality of life, services like health, education, culture, security. Those 3 elements have to go together. People will not just settle for a house without having enough quality of life or a job. It has to move together. All those pieces have to move together. And this is what we have been working with the Jewish National Fund, I would say more than a decade. I can't count the number of projects that we have done together, which all make a mark or a check into those 3 elements of employment, infrastructure, and quality of life. You have to understand that if you want to take a community that lives in the desert and invite more people, everything has to be created from scratch. If you don't have medical services in your region, you have to create it. If you don't have infrastructure, you have to create it. And that's a massive task that we've took upon ourselves together with the Jewish National Fund. And we've created a massive change throughout the Arava. Just to tell you, a short story. 3 of the main projects that we've been working with on with JNF are located in Sapir. One of them is a medical center. And the medical center in the Arava was built by JNF in 2014. We're talking about 6 years ago. Before the medical center, we didn't have a lot of medical services in the Arava, just small clinics that did not provide good quality enough services for the people. And we understood that if you want to invite people to come and live in the Arava, 2 hours away from the nearest hospital, you have to provide them with medical services. I'm so proud to tell you that just during last month, we have provided more than 4,000 vaccines, COVID-19 vaccines, to people that are living in the Arava at the JNF Medical Center. In 6 years, to come from not having appropriate medical services to administering vaccines for COVID, where a lot of parts of the world and the US do not have access to, it shows you the dramatic change that we can create by boosting those projects and the work that we're doing together with JNF. And that's just an example. Housing, together with the JNF Housing Fund, we're creating more than 1,000 developed lots in the desert land. You can see in the picture that the tractors are really taking the desert land with all the stones, leveling it, and preparing the land for the new neighborhood. Stacy, that's the cool tractors that we have outside our home right now. So really cool machines. And in the years that we've been working with JNF, the boost of the population or demographic growth is really amazing. Don't look at the numbers. The numbers are like 2 buildings in Manhattan. But if you'll take 2005 and understand that in 50 years of establishing the region, only 2,500 people have chosen to live in the Arava. And now in 2020, we almost doubled this number, and we're planning to reach 6,500 by 2030. That's a lot of people. That's 63% increase to the residents of the Arava. Remember, this is still a challenging area to live in, and these are numbers that we haven't even dreamt of. And the beginning was not easy. These are pictures of the early pioneers in the 50s when they have decided, God knows what, that for all the different occupation, agriculture is the thing that they want to do in the Arava, despite of the land that was not appropriate and the temperature. But they believed in something, and they had the chutzpah, and they had the faith, and they had an idea of what can you do in order to turn disadvantages into advantages. And today, the Arava farmers are in charge of more than 50% of Israel fresh vegetable export. I'm going to say it again, more than 50% of the vegetables, the fresh vegetables that Israel exports abroad comes from a region with no water, comes from a desert, from a place that most people will tell you it's not even possible to do agriculture in. We are talking about 600 farms. We're not talking about thousands of people that can produce food from the desert land, which is something so impressive, especially in these days when people are talking about food security and the fact that the world resources are diluting and we have to feed more people. And this entire amazing industry of agriculture is happening with less than 1 inch of rainfall every year, with no water at all. And believe me, there are amazing crops that are growing in the Arava. This is an amazing picture of the sweet bite peppers that are growing here, but we also grow mangoes and dates and zucchinis and eggplants and melons and grapes and so many other crops that are very strange to the climate and to the surroundings of the region. But we have come up with ways through science to acclimate them and to adjust them to the desert land and to the desert conditions. And we are doing that at the Research and Development Center in the Arava, where local scientists are actually thinking of methods and techniques to enable the farmers to keep growing in one of the most hostile environments on earth. And those scientists are part of the community, and they're working closely with the farmers in order to ensure that the know-how and the knowledge will always be ahead of the changing conditions and the climate changes that are changing all the time. So we can overcome those challenges by really harvesting our mind power into it. But the main challenge for the farmers here, despite of all the science, has and always have been water. We are living in one of the driest regions on Earth, with, again, less than 1 inch of rain every year. And the water that we take, since we're not connected to the main water grid of Israel, we take our water from water wells that draws from a huge aquifer that lies underneath the Arava. And the aquifer supplies water to the farms. But the water that we take from the aquifer are brackish. It's like 3 times saltier than the tap water that you have in your house. It's really salty. For example, and this is Stacy's project, if you wanna use it for domestic use, you have to desalinate them. Otherwise, you can't use it. For the farmers, they need to cope with the level of salinity that is almost devastating to the plants. And the more water that we take from the wells, the quality and quantity of the water deteriorates. It means less water to the farms, it means less income, and it means less families. But we want to create the opposite. We want to invite more families. We want to create more agriculture. So what are the solutions that are available for us that we are using? So first of all, if we're not connected to the main water grid of Israel, we had to dig down into the ground and produce water wells that can supply the region's water demand. And by the way, from the 52 water wells that are spread across the Arava, 20% are located in Jordan, which present us with some challenges when the geopolitical situation is not in favor of Israel. The second solution is, how can you deliver the water from the wells to the fields? So there is this entire piping system that brings the water to the farms with pipes and with pumps that can help overcome the pressure problems. We desalinate some of our water for domestic use. This is the desalination plant in my Mushav, and you have to do it, otherwise you cannot drink the water. And if you want to drink the water and you have a desalination plant, you have to deliver the water into the homes of the people. Otherwise, they won't go to the water plant to take the water in buckets. And also water reservoirs. JNF has built 5 water reservoirs to capture flash flood water in the region of the Arava. And every time we have flash floods, we can take sweet water, let them drip down into the ground and enrich the aquifer that we take water from, and balance the sweet versus saline water ratio that we have in our water wells. And of course, treatment plants, water treatment plants, recycling the water that we have, take water from domestic use and from packing houses, process it, recycle it, and irrigate it, saving water and also using every drop of water that we have, and also taking care of the environment throughout the process. And the R&D, which provide methods and techniques of how to overcome the deteriorating quantity and quality of water. And this is something and techniques and solutions we have to come up with every year. So here in our region, it's the human capacity that helps us overcome those challenges. And it's a great example of how can you really harvest your ingenuity towards growing something in the desert. I want to add with 2 things. First of all, when we're talking about Blueprint Negev, I have to tell you, there isn't a region that represents the work of JNF more than the Arava. We are Blueprint Negev. I cannot think of a single aspect in my life that hasn't been improved and touched by JNF. From the water that I'm drinking, to the new neighborhood that is being built, to the kindergartens that have been built, the medical center, and so many other solutions and things that help us live here in the desert and also invite new families. So this is the real thing. When you're talking about really creating a massive change, this is how you do it. And this knowledge that we've been talking about, how to grow in the desert, is not being only kept here in the region, it's also being shared with multiple nations through an amazing school that is called ACAT, Arava International Center for Agriculture Training, that we have started here 26 years ago and has now more than 20,000 graduates across the globe in developing countries in Asia and Africa, because we believe that our solutions can be their problems and their problems can be our problems. And we are all one village, we are all one globe, and we have to help each other. It's part of our history, part of our values, part of our tikkun olam and Jewish identity, while generating jobs for the people that are living in the Arava and help them take from their experience and generate an engine growth for the region. So I want to end by thanking you for everything that you do. And if you ever want to see how you take a piece of desert and turn it into a place where people can live, I invite you to come to the Arava, and I hope that next year will enable us to do that, so everybody can come and really see the miracle and the difference that we are doing here together. So thank you, and I really hope to see everyone in Israel, in Arava.
Thank you, Noah, and please stay with us. I know that there are a few questions for Noah.
Sure.
Before we're moving forward, Mark, with the questions for Noah, we're going to visit another site in Central Arava, the ACAT that you spoke about, and people ask me, what is ACAT? And before we're going to visit ACAT, please, Bob and John Oppenheimer, the president of JNF Northern New Jersey, will introduce the director of ACAT, Hani Arnon. Hani, say hi. John and Bob, say hi.
Hello, hi, shalom.
Shalom,
nice to be with you.
Shalom, Hani. So I'm Bob Oppenheimer, and together with my wife, Joan, we are the co-presidents of Jewish National Fund in North Jersey and Rockland County. We have the pleasure of introducing Hani Arnon this afternoon, or morning or evening, depending upon where you are sitting on the bus. As the executive director of the Arava International Center for Agricultural Training, a Jewish National Fund partner, Hani Arnon inspires and empowers students from developing countries, giving them the tools and mentorship to create successful agricultural businesses. Hani helped settle Moshav Dan, establishing a successful farm in the area. Now, she uses her expertise to guide ACAT students in practical field work on Arava farms, exposing them to modern agricultural techniques and technologies, Jewish tradition, Israeli innovation, and the Arava community's pioneering spirit. Hani aspires to build an international campus for agricultural studies in Central Arava and thereby increase ACAT's positive impact on the world. Please join me in welcoming Hani.
Thank you, Bob and Joan. It's my pleasure always to present ACAT. Actually, this program fills my heart with Israeli pride.
So we're gonna watch your beautiful video, Hani, with the students of ACAT. Gary, we're ready?
Shalom, my name is Tara. I come from Cambodia.
Jumbo, my name is Steven from Kenya.
Salam, it's me Arun Khanal from Nepal. Thank you.
Xin chào, my name is Hoàng Thị Thanh Nga. I'm from Vietnam.
Hello, salam sejahtera. My name is Costa and I'm from Indonesia. Thank you.
Susday, Salums, my name is Punlu. I'm from Cambodia.
Hi, my name is Jimmy and I'm from Kenya.
My name is Tira. I'm from Cambodia.
Salam, namaste. It's me Vinod from Nepal.
Sawadee Shalom, my name is Nitaya Sinyen. I'm from Thailand.
Hi, my name is Graham Mwangi. I'm from Kenya. Peace.
Shalom. Welcome to ACAT, Arava International Center for Agricultural Training. Come with me. I'll take you for a tour. Let's travel in Asia and Africa.
Hi,
My name is Hani Arnon, and I am the director of ACAT. Remember, Arava International Center for Agricultural Training. We established ACAT in 1994. It's more than 26 years ago. We got permit from Israeli authorities, from the Ministry of Agriculture, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and the Ministry of Interior. The aim is to bring students from developing countries, expose them to the agriculture in the Arava, and empower them, sharing the knowledge, and turn them from farmers to entrepreneurs. We bring annually over 1,000 students from Asia and Africa. We cooperate with countries that their main source of livelihood is agriculture, but traditional agriculture. We bring students from Thailand, from Nepal, from Vietnam, from Cambodia, from Indonesia, a Muslim country that Israel doesn't even have diplomatic ties with. We bring students from Fiji, from Vanuatu, from Kenya, from Cape Verde, from Gambia, and others. It's a multitude of nationalities, religions, and cultures. We bring them to the Arava, and here they meet for the first time the desert. That despite the limited natural resources, we bloom the desert. We make it green. We do agriculture. We make even the impossible possible. This is the first lesson they get from Israel. And our aim is to be the light for these nations. During the year that they stay in the Arava with the farmers, we build for them a study program that give them different topics like agricultural topics, post-harvest, plant protection, how to grow vegetables and flowers in aquaculture. And we also teach them about agribusiness, which is very important. So topics like basic economic and marketing and financial analysis. And after they finish the academic year, they get tools to go back home and to implement the new ideas they gain in their home countries. We do the follow-up, and we are so impressed of how students become leaders who can lead innovation and changes, even small, in their countries. They establish agricultural business and cooperatives. They use a different technique. They use actually Israeli technique. They understand something about the modern agriculture. They understand something about how to find solution to any challenges. And actually, when they complete the year here, after visiting also attractions, tourist attractions in Israel, they become goodwill ambassadors to Israel. So if I summarize, I can say that ACAT is an agent of change. ACAT creates leaders who go back home and lead innovation in their home countries. We have so many success stories. We have so many students who went back home and actually make their life better. We are very happy to continue for the last 26 years and continue in the future. And I can say that till now we have over 20,000 graduates. Actually, there are seeds that go back home. And from these, I believe something big will grow. We wish all of them to continue to the cooperation with Israel and to continue and do their homes better.
Hi, my name is Menawati Tabalian, and I'm from Indonesia. This is my second year to stay in Israel. And I got the money from the Nabataeans Foundation to support a business, a dream that I want to do when I go back to Indonesia. So the idea is coming from because I live in a village, which is we have a natural pond, but farmers in my village don't use the pond to grow in dry season. They only use it for growing rice, and it's only once a year and only for family needs. They don't sell it, so it means they don't get any money from that. And the idea is I want to show the farmer and to teach them slowly how to use the water so we can grow crops in dry season and in rainy season. ICAT has given me a lot of experience and eager to do something better, to do something different. And I have a lot of experience and confidence when I go back there, and I will prove the people around me in my community that a woman can do better and a woman can influence people to do something better in agriculture. And I want to influence my community and to teach them by showing them how technology and science will help them in agriculture. Before I came to Israel, in my mind, I was thinking like Israel is a desert. People here are not able to grow something. But now I can see that farmers are growing good and better. And I think like it's amazing. It's not just like 1, 2, or 3. It's a lot of crops they grow here and to fulfill all the needs in the world. My family was worried about me, about my safety, because this is a conflict country. But when I came here for the second year, they really trust me that, okay, let's go. Okay, go there and pursue your dream, do your best and bring something to build your country. Thank you to GNF and ICAT for having me here. I feel that I am a part of this project, and thank you also because you give us to all of us as a student to be brave enough to pursue our dreams, and nothing is impossible. I have one word, I like these words, like the sky is the limit. Thank you so much.
My name is Jennifer Masawa. I am 27 years old. I am a single mother to an adorable girl, a guardian to 2 young adults, a social change advocate, and currently a student at Tel Aviv University, pursuing masters in plant sciences. I was born and bred in a small village in Siaya County in Kenya. I trekked to school barefoot with one goal to make it to the university. Growing in the village, I had encounter with real effects of abject poverty. I watched painfully as young girls dropped out of school due to teenage pregnancies and never having a second chance to pursue their education. Rather, they will end up in arranged marriages with way older partners. I am grateful to my parents for always ensuring that I had enough paraffin to keep me late in the night with my books and encouraging me to stay focused in my studies despite their low level of education. They had a chance to marry me off at my prime age in exchange for cows and social status. As a child, I wanted to do something. I wanted to create change. I wanted to break the norm. 8 years ago, after finishing my high school and waiting to join university, I almost lost it all when I had my daughter. I had to make a choice between getting married and continuing to university. I am here today because I made the tougher choice. It wasn't easy because my parents could not support me financially, but they lessened the burden by taking care of my daughter from the age of 2 months until the end of my studies. Their support enabled me to run a school mentorship program, work with women groups in the community through Girls United program, and also serve as a student leader at University of Nairobi. I am so grateful to them. Looking back, ICAT has been a blessing to my life. The exposure, the practical knowledge, a chance to build my academic profile, the networking, and being able to support my family back home. I grew interest in the Arava cooperative story because I feel it's a model that we can adopt in ongoing efforts to reframe Kenyan rural communities. Today, I know that a child growing up in rural Israel has equal access to quality life, attention, and resources that prepare them for life. This is not the case in my country. The Human Development Index and the general social development infrastructure is wanting. I have so much bottled up for the future. With the immediate being able to stay with my daughter, give her the motherly love, and give her the life and opportunities I never had. Furthermore, I've left her 3 times in pursuit for the future. I want to continue impacting my community through grassroots development, working with women group, and mentoring young school girls. I focus in women because they're the central workforce in the rural communities in Kenya. When I think about the rampant corruption and the inequality in my country, it depresses me. My ultimate goal is to be able to serve my country in the top leadership so that to be able to influence inclusive policies, especially in agriculture and social development. Lastly, in memory of my mother, a woman who influenced my passions, I would like to set a foundation for women, for orphans and widows, a purpose she served selflessly. I am grateful to ICAT, Arava Community, Tel Aviv University, Mashav Israel, ICAT Director Ms. Hani Anon, my Israeli mentor and father figure, Mr. Yarif Kedar, for always holding my hands and assuring me that it is possible when we give our best. Shalom. God bless Israel. God bless Kenya. God bless Africa.
Jambo, my name is Roland Margaret. I am 8 years old. I am in grade 2 at Epren Academy. Here in Kenya, schools have been closed since March due to COVID-19 pandemic. My mother, Jennifer Masawa, traveled to Israel. She is a student at Tel Aviv University. She left me under the care of my Aunt Ruth. Here we stay in the village. When I grow up, I want to become a doctor. Thank you.
Wow, 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 wow. Honey,
okay.
We have Jennifer on the line too.
Yes, we have Jennifer with us, and you just met Jennifer and Mena, but believe me, and you see how their life changed because they arrived to ACAT, to Arava, to Israel. But we have 1,000 more. Think about Dennis and Kevin and Rex and Tidawin and others that arrived to Israel in this program and their life changed. And this is positive. This is Positively Israel. This is a project that supports developing countries. It's not just the study program. It's not just living in the Arava. It's the special spirit of Israel. It's the understanding that if you want, it is not a dream. It's the knowledge that they discovered themselves actually in the Arava. And also, I must say that ACAT is a agent of change, but ACAT is also your voice in the world, Israel and other Jewish people in the world, because these amazing people are going back home after staying with us for a year and participate in a program that based on learning by doing. And they visit some tourist attractions of Israel. They learn about the Israelis. And you know, because before they arrived to Israel, they knew only from the media. They knew about Israel only from the media. They arrived to the Arava and they become a family. And I saw it at the last week, how all our students support the Myanmar students who were sad and disappointed with what happened in Myanmar. And I saw everybody, all the students, how they become a big family. And it's not just that, it's all the time that we have things we feel with when we are united, when we are together, we can be more strong.
I have to add here, Hani, that there is a special relationship between the community, the Arava community, and the farmers and the students. The students are helping the farmers in a way. Although they are in training, they are extra set of hands that can help farmers in this remote region, and they're so precious to us. And I have to tell you that last week, in a very unique operation, we have handed more than 2,500 vaccines to all of ACAT students and foreign workers that are living in the Arava, because they are part of our community. We are all one people living in this very harsh region, and we take care of each other regardless of the differences.
And thank you. Hani, do you want to speak? Hani, do you want to say a few words about JNF's involvement? How is the JNF?
Of course. You are our partners. You are the friends. Without you, we wouldn't have the campus, the home for ACAT, the home for all the students. So together with JNF, we are leading this program with the scholarships, with the building, with they support special programs, and especially now, in the last 2 years, we have a special special grants that we give our students who has ideas to start an agricultural business or a startup in their home countries. Because coming to Israel is not just for this year of studying in the campus, it's going back home and continue. It's never end. You are in ACAT family forever. And we have Jennifer with us. She can add maybe more, and I can say maybe she will be too shy to say that at the last week, together with the students, with the pupils from school, they are at the last stage of a competition with a UN competition to serve projects to the world, to the developing countries. So together with the pupils in school, Jennifer and Dennis from Kenya, they did something amazing, and please cross fingers, because if they win, they will all go to Rome to present the project. So we are very happy for that.
Say hi, we want to see you, Jennifer.
Yeah, Jennifer, where are you? Love you so
Hi.
much.
Jambo.
Jambo, Jambo is hello, shalom.
Shalom. Thank you so much. And please allow me to just add something small. And I was just thinking as everyone was presenting, I was just thinking that actually Israel has raised me ever since I was a kid, because I grew under the guidance of the Bible. And this is another Jewish community gift to the world. So thank you so much, the Jewish community, for all that you've done in my life. And I just want to mention that today I'm hosting a Bible study in my place. And this is also a gift from Jewish community to the world. And lastly, personally, nowadays I see Arava in the eyes of Ben Gurion.
Wow.
He saw Arava as the future of Israel. And I'm convinced and convicted that Arava is the future of Israel.
Thank you.
And
wow. You're bringing tears
thank
to
you
our eyes, Jennifer. It's music to our ears and tears to our eyes.
Okay, thank you so much. I just beg 2 of your minutes to say this, that Arava is a global incubation lab for the world, as the lab faces the global threat of desertification and global warming. We are prepared. And one thing I just want to assure, like last week I read that our dear sister from Gambia, Bensouda, they are convicting Israel. But I think we as students who have lived and seeds that have been planted, we can tell the Israel story. We know the story, and we continue to be ambassadors, and we know the truth. The truth is not with what the big media tell us. We know the truth, and this has been proven. Like last week, the whole Kenya media almost broke down when a former ICAT student went into the driest part of Kenya with the Arava spirit, with the chutzpah, to do something people never do. And he started farming with the community and guiding the community. I can tell you that this was not only a story in Kenya, but it was a story across Africa. I have the African map in my background because I carry the African dream, and Arava has showed me that it is possible, it is doable with the cooperative and collective spirit. And I just want to thank JNF one more last time that last week we officially launched a collective learning program, which is supported by Joint Institute of Jewish National Fund. And I can never be so much grateful on behalf of less advantaged countries. We are not less advantaged, but we can learn so much from Arava to do what we need to do as communities back home. And this is what ICAT is sowing in us. As I've always believed that ICAT is sowing the good seeds on behalf of Israel. And as we see the Russias among nations, the trees planted in Yad Vashem, you shall see these Russias among nations, the trees that ICAT have planted grow several years from now. Thank you so much.
Wow. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
We're going to speak tomorrow about the Joint Institute, but I suggest that we will all stay a few more minutes because there are plenty of questions, Mark. And I'm
Yes, okay. Yeah, I've got a few things I'd like to say. First of all, yes, there's a lot of wonderful comments in the chat box. I don't know if everybody is following the chat box. There's not a lot of questions, but there's just wonderful comments about how wonderful these great speakers and everything. But I'd just like to take a couple minutes when we wrap up here to give you my perspective of this. Like I said, when I signed on Monday morning, I've been involved in the Jewish National Fund for 20 years now. I started in 2000 as a board member in Phoenix, Arizona. And I see all this. And now this is the second time I'm going around on this mission. And obviously I've heard all these people on my 20 plus trips to Israel over the years. And I was the original chairman of Blueprint Negev when we started way back in the early 2000s, which meant I oversaw all the different projects that we were doing down in the Negev. And I was there with Russell Robinson and another in the group when we stood on the riverbank of the river park in Bercheva, when Russell was pitching us what we thought was a fantasy about building this into a river park. And what I saw on that day was the riverbed filled with trash, literally filled with trash, used appliances, old tires, truckloads of garbage. At the end of the river was and still is a junkyard, and cars were piled, and I'm not exaggerating, a minimum of 50 feet into the air. And that's when, as you heard Atai say, all the apartment buildings at the other end of the river park, the expensive ones were facing away from the river park at that time because nobody wanted to see this eyesore. And here's Russell pitching us is what is going to happen in the future years. And we all thought Russell was crazy. We really did, including myself. And I had the privilege over these years of going there every year and seeing the progress that we made and helping to oversee it. And I'm telling you, it has given me a wonderful sense of purpose in being involved in the Jewish National Fund for 20 years. I feel a great accomplishment saying I'm part of this. And you could see it. You saw the video of that river park, and it was nothing 15, 20 years ago. It was nothing. It was a dream. And yet everything that Russell said that day came to reality. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because you have seen now for 3 days all this wonderful work that the Jewish National Fund does. I see in the chat box all of you people giving us these wonderful comments and saying how wonderful the speakers are and how great the projects are. And it's reality. Just think of what we have done with water. Here we are, this small little country with no water, basically. You heard all that yesterday. And yet everybody's faucets at home run. They can take a shower for as long as they want. There is no water shortage in Israel. But this didn't just happen. This took decades of planning from 40, 50 years ago to start planning so that the faucets would run today with all the water that everybody wanted. And the planning is going into effect today for the next 20 years. You heard Tali explain how the responsibility of JNF is to try to build 90 more reservoirs going forward over the next 10 years. And that's in the planning so that the faucets will continue to run 20 years from now when the population is almost double. And no other part of the world can say that. We hear all the time and you read in the newspapers right here in the country, in this country, in the United States, the wealthiest country in the world, where the state of California has serious, serious water issues. And yet Israel, we have been able to accomplish that. And the Jewish National Fund has played a major role in helping to accomplish everything you've seen now for 3 days. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I'm urging you, become a part of us. Be a lay leader. That's all I am, is a lay leader. And I give my time, I give my money, I tell people in the community, I tell people around the country who I speak to, because this is our homeland. It is something we all can be and need to be extremely proud of. So I just wanted to say that because being part of this organization has helped change my life for the better. I have gotten my children involved. They're both involved in the JNF Futures, which I'm very proud of. So if you're looking for something, if you're looking for a place to give some time, and of course, we certainly need your money, and Israel needs your money. And I can say this, which I'm always very proud to say, that the Jewish National Fund is a 5-star rating from Charity Navigator year after year, because over 80% of the dollars that get raised by JNF go directly to the projects. We have one of the smallest overheads of any nonprofit in the country. So I just wanted to say all that to let you people know where I'm coming from and the satisfaction I've gotten out of being part of JNF for 20 years. And I hope that you can find that, that same satisfaction that I've gotten. So do we have any other questions? Any other comments?
Amazing. Thank you, Mark. Thank you. We're all grateful. Everybody's muted, but wow.
Okay, we wrapping it up for the day today. We're right on time.
Lorraine, Lisa Brown, do you want to say anything? We can't hear you. Okay.
Okay, I echo what Mark said. I mean, there is no other organization that touches the lives of Israelis every single day, 365 days a year, every year. And those of us that are involved know the impact that our dollars make, our time makes. And I say, Mark, same thing. I mean, it's an organization like no other, and I'm proud to be part of it. And, you know, let's continue on. We have a lot more to do. So.
Thank you, Lauren.
Connie,
Okay.
it's Bob Oppenheimer. Just a quick question. I'm curious with ACAT, when you get applicants from around the world, do you try to balance it out male, female, or classes? It just depends on the applicants at the time.
Actually, we have annually we have 1,200 students. 30% of them are women. There are countries like Kenya, like Vietnam, that we have more women, but countries like Nepal, Laos, Cambodia, that we don't have a lot. You know, this is the mentality, the traditional way of thinking, and they study in a homogeneous classes. So we don't mix between the countries.
Thank you.
Guys,
wow.
It's 10 minutes after the hour. I wish it was the bus. I wish we would, you know, stop now in a beautiful lounge in the Arava, sitting and drinking the local wine. But we have to go back, right? This is just the appetizer. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
Anything, Mark, anything before?
No, thank you all for